All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. And today we're going exploring cybersecurity.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, it is a hot topic. And, we always love to get our inspiration from you guys. And we got some really cool audio this time.
Oh, yeah.
From a Spanish radio show.
Okay.
Called Capital Radio Afterwork.
Interesting.
And, yeah, they're talking all about cybersecurity trends over in Spain.
Awesome.
So even though the source material is in Spanish, we've got it all translated for you.
Excellent.
We're going to kind of break it down.
Yeah, let's see what they're talking about over there.
See what's going on over there and see how it relates to what's happening over here.
Yeah, definitely. Because cybersecurity is such a global issue these days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, they start talking about this thing called the National Cyberliga.
Okay.
And it's organized by the Guardia Civil, which is like their national law enforcement agency.
Interesting.
So, they're taking this pretty seriously.
Sounds like it.
And it's not just like a typical cybersecurity competition. It's like a whole system for training, for developing talent, bringing people together. And it sounds like they have different categories.
Oh, cool. So like different levels of expertise or something?
Yeah. And they even have one for professionals, and they even had the FBI involved.
Wow. So this is like a big deal.
Yeah. It sounds pretty legit.
Really interesting.
And they really emphasize that it's not just about like theory and concepts. They actually do these like realistic simulations.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, imagine you're having to defend a virtual power grid from a simulated attack.
That's intense.
Yeah, or track down, like the source of a cyberbullying campaign.
So like real world scenario.
Real world, yeah.
That's a great way to learn.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're really trying to equip people with the skills that they're going to need.
To actually handle these threats.
Yeah, and then they had this interview with a cybersecurity expert from Panda Security.
I've heard of them.
And he was talking about AI.
Oh, of course, AI. Everyone's talking about AI these days.
It's like changing everything.
It really is.
Especially in cybersecurity.
Yeah, how so?
Well, on the one hand, it's giving the good guys, like security professionals, these incredible tools to analyze tons of data and like predict attacks before they even happen.
That's incredible.
But there's a flip side to that, which is that the bad guys also have access to these tools.
Oh, right. Of course. It's like any technology. It could be used for good or for bad.
Exactly.
So the cyber criminals are using AI too.
Yeah.
To become even more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah. Like it's an arms race.
It is an arms race.
Yeah. Constantly trying to outsmart each other.
Oh, wow. And this expert, what did they have to say about it?
He had this really striking quote.
Okay.
He said, cyber criminals are going to go for everyone.
Everyone, like not just big companies?
Not just corporations, like everyone.
Wow, individuals, small businesses.
Everybody.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, no one is immune.
So what can we do then?
That's the big question, right?
Right, like how do we protect ourselves in this wild west of AI-powered cybercrime?
Well, the expert actually had some pretty good advice.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
And it's kind of surprising because he said, even with all this advanced technology, the basics are still crucial.
Oh, the basics. Like what kind of basics are we talking about?
Like strong passwords.
Oh, right. Of course.
Two-factor authentication and keeping your software updated.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those are like the foundation.
It's like having this, high-tech security system.
Yeah.
But then forgetting to lock your front door.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You can have all the fancy gadgets, but if you don't do the simple things, it's not going to help.
Exactly. And the radio show actually highlighted some other key areas, too.
Oh, okay. So what else did they mention?
Well, they talked about secure connections.
Secure connections, like VPNs.
Yeah, VPNs, especially if you're using public Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's a good point. You never know who's lurking on those public networks.
It's like creating a tunnel for your data.
Right, so no one can snoop on it.
And they also talked about the human element.
The human you mean like human error?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're often the weakest link.
That's true. We can make mistakes or fall for scams.
Right, like misconfigurations or vulnerabilities in a company's supply chain.
Yeah, all of that can create openings for cyber criminals.
And they even discussed some recent data breaches.
Oh, really? Like what kind of data breaches?
Well, one involved this insurance company called Paleo.
Okay.
And another one hit Casio.
Wait, Casio, the watch company?
Yeah, they got hit twice in a year.
Wow, that's rough.
And it just goes to show that even companies with strong cybersecurity strategies can be vulnerable.
So it's not just about having the technology. It's about having the knowledge and awareness too.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the National Cyber League.
Okay.
Because get this, they have a category specifically for 14-year-olds.
What 14-year-olds are competing in this thing?
Yeah, they're learning about cybersecurity from a young age.
That's amazing.
And they're teaching them how to collect digital evidence.
Wow. So like if they experience cyberbullying or online harassment, they know what to do.
Exactly. And they can even help with investigations.
That's so empowering.
Yeah, it's all about equipping them to be part of the solution.
I love that. And how many kids are participating in this?
Almost 8,000 teenagers.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's a whole generation getting ready to tackle these challenges head on.
It's inspiring to see that.
It really is.
It sounds like they're really creating a culture of cybersecurity awareness starting from a young age.
Exactly. And, it makes you wonder what the future holds for this field.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be involved in cybersecurity, that's for sure.
Definitely. But it's also a critical time. The stakes are higher than ever before.
That's true. The threats are evolving, so we need to evolve too.
Okay. I need a moment to process all of this. This is a lot to take in.
Yeah, it is.
When we come back, let's dig a little deeper into those data breaches.
Okay.
And what they reveal about the tactics of cybercriminals. I want to understand how they're using AI to exploit those human weaknesses we were talking about.
That's a great point. We'll unpack that and explore some strategies for staying ahead of the curve.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, I'm ready.
Me too.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's get back to those data breaches the radio show talked about. You said even companies with strong cybersecurity can still be vulnerable, like what happened with Palayo and Casio.
Yeah, it's a good question because it really highlights how cyber criminals are adapting and using new tactics. In Palayo's case, it seems like they were targeted through a vulnerability in their supply chain.
The supply chain, so not even a direct attack on Palayo itself.
Right. It looks like a third-party vendor they were working with had a security weakness that was exploited.
Yeah.
Which, is a good reminder that your cybersecurity is only as strong as the weakest link in your network.
That's kind of scary because it means you could be doing everything right on your end, but still be at risk because of someone else's mistake.
Exactly. And it shows how important it is to carefully vet your vendors and partners and make sure that they have strong security practices in place.
So that's supply chain vulnerabilities. What about Casio? I mean, they got hit twice in a year. That's rough.
It is. And the details are still emerging, but it sounds like the second attack may have involved some sort of social engineering.
Social engineering, so like where they trick people into giving up information or access?
Exactly. And with AI-powered tools, these attacks can be incredibly convincing.
So AI is making it even harder to spot these scams.
Yeah. It is, and it's not just about spotting scams. AI can also be used to automate attacks, making them faster and more widespread.
That's unsettling. It feels like we're constantly playing catch-up with these cybercriminals.
In a way, we are. But that's why it's so important to stay informed about the latest threats and tactics we need to adapt our defenses accordingly.
So knowledge is power, or in this case, knowledge is cybersecurity.
I like that. And it's not just about technical knowledge either. It's about awareness, critical thinking, and developing those good digital habits.
Okay, so back to the basics. Strong passwords, two-factor authentication, being careful about what you click on, all that stuff still matters even in the age of AI.
Absolutely. Those basic practices are still your foundation. But we also need to think bigger about how we interact with technology and the information we share online.
I'm getting the sense that this isn't just an IT problem anymore. It's something we all need to be thinking about.
You're absolutely right. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, and it's something we should be discussing more openly and honestly.
The radio show also mentioned the National Cyber League and how it's training the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. Do you think that's part of the solution?
I do. That initiatives like the Cyberliga are really crucial because they're not just teaching technical skills, they're fostering a culture of cybersecurity awareness.
And they're starting young with teenagers learning how to collect digital evidence and report things like online harassment.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's about empowering people to be proactive, to be part of the solution, instead of just waiting for something bad to happen. That's such an important point. We can't just rely on technology or experts to protect us. We need to be engaged and informed ourselves.
Exactly. It's a team effort. Everyone have a role to play in creating a safer and more secure online world.
I'm actually starting to feel a bit more optimistic now, knowing that there are people out there working hard to stay ahead of these threats, and that there are programs like the Cyberliga equipping the next generation with the skills and the right mindset. It's encouraging.
It is encouraging, and it's important to remember that even though the threat landscape is constantly changing, so are the tools and strategies that we can use to defend ourselves.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into some of those tools and strategies. What can our listeners do to enhance their own cybersecurity practices? Give us the good stuff.
Let's start with some practical steps everyone can take. And remember, this isn't a one-time thing. Cybersecurity is an ongoing process.
All right, lay it on us. What are some practical steps our listeners can take?
Okay, so let's start by revisiting those foundational practices. Strong passwords, two-factor authentication, keeping software updated. We've mentioned them before, but they're so important.
Yeah, they're easy to forget about.
They are, and it's really easy to get complacent.
Mm-hmm.
But, think about it this way. If a cyber criminal is trying to break into, multiple accounts, they're going to go for the easiest targets first.
Right. The low-hanging fruit?
Exactly. Don't be the low-hanging fruit. Make them work for it.
So strong passwords, two-factor authentication, check and check. What about software updates? I'll admit I sometimes ignore those notifications.
Yeah, I get it. But those updates often include security patches that fix vulnerabilities.
Oh.
So it's like reinforcing your armor.
Oh, yeah.
Cyber criminals are always looking for those weaknesses, so you got to stay one step ahead.
Okay, so no more ignoring those update reminders. What else can we do?
Be really cautious about what you click on and what information you share online.
Okay.
Phishing emails and social engineering scams are getting so sophisticated, it's important to be really vigilant.
Any tips for spotting those scams? Because they can be so tricky these days.
Yeah. Look for red flags like misspellings or grammatical errors or requests for personal information that seem out of place.
Okay.
And if something feels off, just trust your instincts.
Right.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Right.
And what about social media? It feels like there's privacy risks everywhere.
Yeah.
Be mindful of what you post, who you connect with.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the information you're sharing and how it could be used. And just remember, nothing is truly private online.
Okay, that's a good reminder. So strong passwords, software updates, cautious clicking, social media awareness, anything else?
Oh, yes. Back up your important data regularly.
Oh, yeah.
If you experience a breach or a device failure, you'll be glad you did.
Okay, that's a good reminder. I need to set up a better backup system myself. This is all great advice, but it can feel overwhelming sometimes, how can I possibly keep up with all of this?
I hear you. It's a lot to process, but just remember, you don't have to become a cybersecurity expert overnight.
Right.
Just focus on a few key areas and build from there.
Okay, small steps.
Exactly, and you're not alone in this. There are tons of resources available, websites, articles, online communities where you can learn more, connect with others who are on the same journey.
That's good advice. And if you're really feeling inspired, you can check out the National Cyberliga website we mentioned earlier. You might even discover a passion for cybersecurity and join the ranks of those defending our digital world.
That's a great idea. Imagine that, from listening to this deep dive to becoming a cyber defender.
You never know, the world needs more people who are passionate about cybersecurity.
I totally agree.
Well, this has been an eye-opening deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from AI-powered cybercrime to practical tips for staying safe online. I feel like I have a much better understanding of the challenges and the opportunities in this constantly evolving field.
Me too. And I think it's clear that cybersecurity is not just an IT issue anymore. It's something we all need to be aware of and engaged in.
Absolutely. It's a shared responsibility. And by working together, staying informed, taking those proactive steps, we can create a safer and more secure online world for everyone.
Well said.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.